At some point, you stop reacting to individual events and start noticing the repetition. Different years, different countries, different headlines. Same response. A shocking event happens, violent, emotional, destabilizing, and before the public has time to think, the story is already finished. The media doesn't investigate in real time, it announces reality. The language is uniform, the tone is identical, and the emotional response is pre-selected for you. Grief, fear, outrage. And then comes the unspoken rule. Do not question this. We're seeing it again with Charlie Kirk. The speed of the narrative is the red flag. The story that was fast, emotionally charged, and full of inconsistencies, yet curiously itself was framed as betrayal. If you asked any questions, you weren't seeking truth, you were disloyal. That's not how organic truth works. That's how loyalty tests work. And once you see it there, you realize it isn't new. It's the same pattern we saw with COVID. The same pattern during the Freedom Convoy, the same pattern during the Canadian election, the same pattern after 9/11, after the 2008 financial collapse, after the Maui and California wildfires. Different crises, identical response. Shock the population, move fast, control the meeting, and push dissent. The event becomes sacred, not because of truth, but because of trauma. Questioning stops being intellectual and starts being moral. You're no longer allowed to ask what happened, only how you're supposed to feel about it. That's how perception is managed. Reality isn't just what happens. Reality is what gets repeated, what gets platformed, what gets emotionally reinforced. And governments don't need to lie to you outright. They just need to decide what's visible and what's invisible, what's amplified and what quietly disappears. Most people assume corruption is incompetence or greed. That's accidental. But when the same institutions benefit every time financially, legally, politically, it stops looking accidental. This is where the illusion of choice comes in. We're told democracy means participation, voting, debating, picking sides. But notice how no matter who wins, the structure never changes. Surveillance grows, debt grows, power consolidates, corporations merge, banks are protected, wars continue. You're choosing managers, not owners. Real power doesn't campaign. It doesn't argue on social media. It doesn't care who you vote for. Real power is inherited. Bloodlines, financial dynasties, families that outlive governments and shape outcomes quietly across generations. The public sees politics as the top of the pyramid. It's not. It's the front desk. And when people get too close to recognizing that, when skepticism spreads too widely, another crisis appears. Another moment of mass trauma that resets the emotional field and pulls people back into fear and division, left versus right, citizens versus citizens, while those at the top remain untouched, unnamed, and unseen. But here's what's different now. The spell is weakening. People don't need all the answers anymore. They just need to feel that something doesn't add up. And millions of people feel it. They notice the speed, the scripting, the way questioning is criminalized, the way the same solutions always expand the same power. Awakening doesn't happen through revelation. It happens through pattern recognition. And once someone sees the pattern, they stop being governed by fear. They stop outsourcing reality, and trauma loses its power to rewrite their beliefs. That's when control breaks. Not with riots, not with elections, but with awareness. Because a system built on perception only works as long as people consent to the story. And more people are quietly, calmly withdrawing that consent.
Welcome back to the Black Sheep Podcast. This episode is going to be a good one to break some illusions, to get you questioning, to get you maybe a bit triggered even. So this is a great one to be a little bit of your comfort zone, perhaps.
Yeah, this is in my comfort zone.
Totally.
This is a bit in my comfort zone for me. I love this kind of shit. I think that basically what we're seeing in the world today is just one psyop after another, constantly pushing the narrative, pushing the beliefs of the citizens, and then Well, okay. Basically, it breaks down like this. We've talked about it. Problem, reaction, solution. So I think the key thing is that people are starting to recognize the patterns. And once you see from, if you can take your life back to the earlier days of, for example, 2001, where I think most of us who are over 35 had the most traumatic anyway experience of our lives, which was 9/11. And how they did it was so interesting that it was this crazy situation. But the crazier thing is that we all saw it. And it was different to today, because when I say in real time, it wasn't really in real time, but it was very fast to real time. It was almost like today, in today's day and age, where you constantly have people on their cell phones filming everything. But back in 2001, it was this mass trauma event that took place. And then for the next several weeks, it was just rinse and repeat. The same images over and over and over, and the same talking points over and over and over. They knew within a very short period of time who the hijackers were. Remember the passport that was found at the at the base of, the two towers, ground zero, they called it. Porcelain, for example, doesn't burn. Okay. So there was thousands of toilets in the Twin Towers. There wasn't one piece of porcelain that was recovered in all of the debris, but yet they were able to find a paper passport
from one of the
alleged hijackers.
Right.
And when you look back on that today, it's really the same thing. It was no different with COVID in 2020, where it's the storyline. And in the case of COVID, this is now, it went on for a year to 2 years of just the same rhetoric over and over and over again. And this is the story, and anybody that questions it is immoral, wrong, unpatriotic, et cetera, et cetera. And then, most recently, there's been 10,000 in between. You have Trump shooting 1, Trump shooting 2. There's so many events that continually happen. There's the bomber guy at Trump Tower. There's the recent National Guard murders in Washington. It just seems like every day. But for me, the most recent event that will obviously be the most remembered would be the Charlie Kirk assassination, where it's another very similar event where we are shown at this particular instance minutes later. I knew about this within 20 minutes of it happening, and within 33 hours, which is an odd number to use, we have the complete story laid out at your feet. This is exactly what happened, and anybody that questions anything else is unpatriotic. And I think that's the point, is the patterns. Is that slowly but surely you're starting to see the patterns unveil themselves. And it's hard to, you've got to be some kind of retard in today's day and age to not be able to at least say, okay, I see the patterns now. You're really working hard to keep those rose-colored glasses on if you're not able to at least say, okay, there's something to that.
Well, I guess if you can't see the patterns, you can at least start to question, like, well, that seems weird, or that seems off. Like, I remember that with 9/11 going, really, the passport? How come those planes just knocked the whole tower down when that's exactly the way that they blow up buildings? Like, that doesn't make this isn't adding up.
Jess, when do you think the first patterns started? Was it JFK? Was it the MK Ultra? Like, when do you think the first patterns actually started?
Honestly, I think they've been doing this a lot longer than that.
Yeah,
I think so. I think you're going back to the early 1900s.
Okay.
And I haven't done enough research into the 1800s, but I bet you if we go back further, I bet you could find it. But I think if you look at, for example, the the creation of the Federal Reserve.
Oh, so the Titanic conspiracy.
Absolutely.
Titanic,
Yeah.
The initiation of the Federal Reserve
Yeah.
and the Titanic is one huge conspiracy
Yeah.
laced in and woven 1,000 times over.
Crazy.
And so if you can take that back to 1913
1912.
for the Titanic.
Yeah.
Okay. But Jekyll Island, that was in...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Are you sure it wasn't 1914 that the Titanic went down?
I'm pretty sure 1912 because I was obsessed with it like as a kid.
Okay. You could totally be right. It might be 1911 that Jekyll Island happened, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. All that matters is that the patterns are the same.
There. Yeah.
The patterns are the same. So how long do I think it's been going on for? If we know for almost 1914?
In 1912.
1912, sorry.
Yeah.
If we know for almost a fact that it goes back as far as the Titanic,
One of the first ones, at least.
one of the first ones, then you have to ask, okay, what was before that? I mean, it doesn't make sense to just say that would be the very first operation.
Right.
I
Right?
think they've just gotten bigger and more traumatic over the years as people have become desensitized to crises.
Can you check the
Jekyll?
no, check the Lindenberg baby? Do you know what that is?
No.
Check the year of the Lindenberg baby.
My second question to that, while I'm looking this up, which is not the kindergarten baby, was: do you think it's getting easier or harder now to hide the patterns? So obviously it was easier back in 1912, and now it's harder. But is it easier because of AI?
Well,
I don't think it's easy. I think there's more control mechanisms put it in place.
I think that they do. I think that the internet went differently than they thought it was going to go. I think they thought it would be used more to their advantage, and we took advantage of it, I think. And I think now they are really trying to cover their tracks, and we can get into this with the Charlie Kirk stuff as well. But I think that it's harder for people to dispute this because yes, they're hiding it, but also they can't hide it
Because everybody has cameras.
everybody
right now.
sees stuff.
Right.
But I mean, even that, I think that, I mean, we're going to get off topic so fast.
Yeah, I know.
But like, there's even conspiracies right now about who is in attendance at this Utah Valley Charlie Kirk assassination.
Right.
There is a theory that a lot of the people that were there were not organically placed there. That a lot of the people that were there were, I don't want to call them crisis actors because that gets you into a whole other situation. But
Like actors, like
actors, but
paid actors.
yes, but almost like they're not actors though. Like a lot of military, a lot of young military aged men were there. And there's even this conspiracy about the maroon shirts. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that, but there was an obscene amount of people that day. And they all looked to be, again, this is hard with being at a university campus, but that's the whole point, is to make them look integrated. But there's a lot of young men in maroon shirts. And I'm not saying that maroon is not a color that people wear, but it's not a very popular color, if you will.
I would agree.
And there is dozens of pictures of crowds of guys in these maroon shirts. And one thing that I have learned is that Army operations, Special Force operations, they generally have all of their team members wearing the same color shirt that day so that they know what operation they're with. Okay? And if you didn't remember, Tyler Robinson was wearing a maroon shirt that day as well in the pictures that they were putting out that we were looking for. Before they had found him, they were looking for the young man in the maroon shirt and the blue jeans. So, I don't even think that it's necessarily that it was an organic event. I think that there was very few people there that were students. And when you asked about the camera situation, that everybody can record things now. When you think about it, we're getting shown a very, very, very select number of images from that shooting. If there really were 2,000 to 3,000 people there, we should have 2,000 to 3,000 camera angles because every single person that was there had their camera out and were recording.
Yeah.
So why don't we see 2,000 to 3,000 different views of the Charlie Kirk assassination? Why are we only seeing 5 to 10 images of the shooting? And I wonder if that's because that particular day, a lot of the people that were there because they were placed there purposely. There was also not a lot of advertising for that event. It was a very last minute event, and students from that school have indicated that there was very little marketing about the event. It was almost like they didn't want random people to be there. The people that were there were meant to be there. And that's an angle that I find very interesting. So
I feel like that's like the rabbit hole of the Charlie Kirk assassination goes really deep, and there's like more and more things that keep coming out about it. I know the day that it happened, though, our news feed, social media feed, was flooded with images that were highly traumatic. And I saw one picture, but I couldn't watch the videos. And that was enough to shock me and stun me. And so, like, looking at crises like that on social media, we're exposed to trauma. We're exposed to so much trauma, and then that impacts our emotions, that impacts our mood. And then when you start associating certain public traumas with certain words or emotions that join with the narrative, then you associate that trauma with that narrative. So when you have like these crises, and then just like with 9/11, like with the wildfires, they already fill in the narrative so that you associate that traumatic event with this story.
And they want the narrative to go in a specific way, and it's managed. And this is why I was asking you about the Lindenberg. What's the year on that?
1932.
Okay. So Charles Lindenberg, can you now look up the, what's it say about him is there anything in there about the, what the fuck were they called? Zephyrs or whatever, the flying machines, the big, it's got to say something about that.
Abduction. March 1st, 1932, an intruder climbed into the nursery, taking the child and leaving a ransom note. Discovery of the baby, May 12th. The body's decomposed baby was found by a truck driver by a roadside. Investigation and arrest. A marked ransom bill led investigators to Bruno Hauptmann. And then trial and execution.
Okay. So you've got to look up quickly. Do like Charles Lindenberg and the flying machine or something. I can't think of what they're called. They were the big, huge airships.
Like a blimp?
Yeah, but they're called airships. So do Charles Lindenberg and the airships. Because what my point of this is that, okay, so I think that airships were an ancient technology that was used for a long time. Okay. And I think that how we always talk about Tartaria and the old buildings and how they all had the
free energy
and the big, huge, we call them steeples or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Energy.
The theory is that those airships.
I guess so. Yeah, it is called a flying machine. Was the spirit of St. Louis.
St. Louis. Spirit of St. Louis. And then what happened? The blow up.
God. Solo trip nonstop, transatlantic flight from New York to Paris in May 1927, winning a prize. Where massive fuel tanks placed forward to the cockpit, a lightweight design, Lindenberg's reliance on dead reckoning navigation, making a symbol of eight. It doesn't say when it.
Then ask about the blow up. Ask it about when it blows up or whatever. Because my point here is that Lindenberg has this amazing technology that we've been using.
There is no historical record of Charles Lindenberg flying machine blowing up in the way your queries suggest. Lindenberg survived a record of 4 plane crashes by parachuting to safety.
Okay, do a whole new chat, open a new thing up, and then look up the airship, old airship blowing up. Because what my point of this is that when they want to erase something or get rid of something, they create a traumatizing event for the public so that there is no need to even question anything because we've seen it. We saw the airship explode, and now we know that they're not safe because they want airplanes to
happen.
Okay, so
So the giant German airship that went up in flames in 1937 when it tried to dock in New Jersey, hydrogen, static, and bad design choices, and the whole lot of we should have known better. It was the moment the world said, yeah, maybe we stop flying giant balloons full of explosive gas.
So again, they want to try to change the narrative, even in this particular instance, by calling it a balloon. This is this is an aircraft that is flying on hydrogen. Okay, people? We are literally trying to reinvent hydrogen vehicles as we speak right now.
True. And it's already been discovered.
It's been discovered. We've had hydrogen since the, and again, in my opinion, 1800s. This is when they really started to fly these things. If not, again, if you believe in Tartaria, it could be 1600s or earlier. But they create the problem. The problem is the airships are cheap, okay? They're effective. They can take thousands of people. These things were huge. They had lounges, living rooms, like everything.
I remember them on Indiana Jones. Remember that?
Okay.
And it was like
Right.
for like first class passengers.
Yeah, you're
They
right.
were like having, there was a dining room, like it was
I'd have to watch that again. I don't remember.
yeah, it was like a blimp.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was like, how do you travel in style?
And see, that's the other thing, the blimp. Okay? So they tricked you by taking away the airship and then reintroducing a blimp later on in like the 70s or something like that. And it flies in a completely different manner that the airship flew, so that you completely forget about the airships altogether and the technology that came with them.
Interesting.
Yes, so the blimp was filled with hydrogen, super light, super cheap, super ready to turn into a fireball the moment things went sideways. Today's blimps use helium.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's not, and I don't think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think a lot of people can go up in a blimp. Like, I think there's the pilot and maybe a few people, but I don't think a blimp is like carrying hundreds of people. I'm pretty sure.
But the whole point of creating a crisis with something and then switching the narrative to calling it like this beautiful crafted resource or tool, and now it's a balloon, and they undermine.
It's not safe.
It's not safe. Right.
It's too advanced for our technologies.
Right.
We can't have these anymore.
So hook words, right?
Yeah.
That puts it into the negative.
Yeah. What are you reading?
Like the blimp is still around. It's mostly for ads, sports shots, and
tourism.
And it's can fit around 2 to 6 people. Like the bigger commercials, 10 to 14.
Okay. So airships, I mean, they were carrying hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow.
So that's just, again, that was just the Lindenberg baby is that whole, I think that whole thing was fake in order to get Lindenberg's name to be kind of like deteriorated through the media, defamed, and then they blow up the ship, and so he's got no credibility.
And then has no
Because-
wealth coming in because nobody trusts him.
Because the Lindenberg baby whole thing was like, did it even happen? Like, that was a conspiracy in itself.
Wow.
Now, here's another, like, completely off topic, but I know you guys are going to remember this. Richard Gere and the gerbil up his butt. You guys remember that?
I think that was like before my time, but I vaguely.
So
remember
in the
that.
90s, Richard Gere was the end all be all. He was the biggest name in male actors, okay? And then he started to speak out about certain things in the world and disrupting the Hollywood cycle of what your job is in Hollywood, which is to give the status quo and follow the narrative that you're given to follow. And so when he started to speak out about different things that they were not happy with, this is, in my opinion, when the gerbil, the fake news gerbil up the butt story happened. Because I don't think that that's true at all in any way, shape, or form. I don't care how much money you have, you're not bored enough to put a gerbil up your ass.
But isn't that like all of Hollywood? When somebody starts to speak out, they make them look like
Well, that's, yeah.
like
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, that's what we do.
They make them look like crazy, like Mel Gibson, like he was speaking out about
child trafficking.
Child trafficking, and then they completely defamed him and said that he's unstable.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm a complete nobody, and during COVID, that's what they did to me. Family, friends, that's what they did to me. I was the fucking lunatic because I was the only one not the only one, but in my circle, certainly one of the first ones and the most vocal one to say anything against the narrative. And you're instantly pegged as this, oh my God, have you
you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Have you seen Jen's wife? Like, she's fucking like out to lunch retarded.
Anything that makes people feel uncomfortable, then they're demonized as crazy. They're labeled as something, anything that goes against mainstream narrative.
So I think the point of this is that a PSYOP doesn't have to be a COVID-19. It doesn't have to be a 9/11. It doesn't have to be a Charlie Kirk. A PSYOP can be any false flag that any government uses to basically control any narrative that they want to be pushed on the public. And 90% of people buy it hook, line, and sinker, and then you have the 10% that have always been the outcasts. But the point of this is that I think that the pattern is becoming so much more recognizable that I do think that this is the crack in the structure that they didn't plan for. That we would see it.
Yeah.
And the internet is how you see it.
Yeah.
Because if only you could only see what was happening in your general area,
the newspapers where it's all
localized, these events don't happen.
And controlled, right? Just like the news. Yeah. But now everybody's videoing from different angles.
I know, which
sharing.
And like, as much as the internet is bad, and like social media, it is good because it connects all of us super fast, good and bad. Like
absolutely,
yeah.
Right.
So, like your question earlier, is it harder or easier? It's hard to say because it kind of goes both ways. We can get into, like, just for example, the Egyptian plane situation with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I don't even know if you're aware of it, or I mean, some people are, some people aren't.
So yeah,
oh, really?
that's a new one for us.
That's not new. It's very old.
Yeah.
it's very old now. But the long and the short of it is that they noticed on the day of the shooting that there was multiple Egyptian planes that had landed in Provo in Utah. And it seemed odd. And then so this guy named Baron Coleman, who's a YouTuber, he's a lawyer as well. I watch his show pretty religiously now, but he was the one that started to track these planes and where they'd been for the last few years. And it gets very interesting. So basically these planes have not only been following Charlie Kirk, but Erica Kirk for 2 years. And everywhere they go.
And like, why though? Do they know why?
The interesting thing is that it's not even why, but it's like the where and the how. So they're flying into these obscure bases, or hangars, I guess we should call them, in very, very obscure small towns. So the question there remains, for example, Jen did a flying lesson, and there's a small airport here. And so we kind of put those two things together and said, nobody really knows. When you fly
Who's in the air?
You have to do your little code, and you're expected to put your transponder on. But if you don't do that, if you turn your transponder off, nobody knows why or how.
Or when.
Or where. Well, they do actually know, but they don't know in real time unless you're someone of importance. Like, for example, if you're a WestJet flight or an Air Canada flight,
it's tracking you.
They're going to know.
Yeah.
And if you're just a random person, I suppose they would know if you put in your call signals and then maybe you didn't do your call signals when you landed, then they might be worried. But the whole point of it is, if you know where you're going and you fly into a very small, obscure place and say that air traffic controller is A, expecting you, or B, is aware of you, or C, is paid to not be aware of you in particular, I don't think that's very difficult.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And if you're an Egyptian plane and you're flying in the United States, you've got clearance. You don't just get to fly into American airspace from Europe, let's say, and not be detected. The only time that ever happened was on 9/11.
Right.
The only other time anybody got to fly in American airspace without having the right credentials was oddly on 9/11. Otherwise, they know every fucking plane that's in the air. So, I mean, there's so much going on with that, but there's definitely the hangars that these planes are docked at for maintenance for extended periods of time and whatnot are, by the way, owned by French companies. So a company in France owns a hangar in the United States that these Egyptian planes are often, if not always, serviced at for weeks on end at a time.
So, okay, so what's the conspiracy? Like, why are these planes following? Like, help me understand this.
Okay.
Make the connection for me.
Okay. Well,
I don't get it.
The whole point is we don't know. We have to speculate. We're only speculating. We don't know because you can't say anything in particular. But the speculation, I suppose, is that France and Israel are aligned in their geopolitical initiatives, if you will. And so Candace Owens has pissed off, and Charlie Kirk was on his way to pissing off both Israel, and Candace Owens has definitely pissed off Israel and France. Okay, so if the two countries decide that these political voices need to be silenced, then that's exactly what they're going to do. Just like every other person that they need to silence somehow winds up dead. Virginia Dufresne, the Epstein survivor, magically hit by a bus. I mean, how many Clintons are on the body count that they've murdered? This is just what happens. This is not a conspiracy. This is the truth. This is what happens when you get in the way of a government or a family of high relevance. You get shut up. It's very simple. It's not that complicated. You're overthinking it. Yeah. You've said things that you shouldn't be saying that they don't want you to say. So now they have to find a way to silence you. So
if they can't control you,
then they kill you. If they can't silence you, they will silence you. So that's just what I think the narrative is just that the thought is that these two countries have aligned and they may be using Egypt as a smoke and mirrors. It may not have anything at all to do with Egypt. Just because the planes are Egyptian doesn't mean anything. But the theory is that they've got this, it's called the 13th Brigade of the French, some kind of a French militant group that is government sanctioned. And get this is just like a fucking movie. Like, it's just like a Tom Cruise movie.
Well, it is a movie.
It is a movie. It's true. It is. You're absolutely right. But basically, they've got these guys, and there's a few girls. So picture, like, Bond villains. And they've been caught.
Okay.
And they're in jail now. Mm-hmm. Okay? You have two choices. You can keep them in jail, or you can turn them. And you can say, okay,
you work for us.
You work for me now. These are very skilled, highly trained individuals. And in fact, a lot of them were already military. And when they leave the military, that's when they get into trouble. Okay? So then the military or the government brings them back in and says, now you work for me and you're part of this elite force. Again, it's like the 13th Brigade or something. And you do our dirty work for us. You do our bidding. You get paid in contracts, and when we need something done, you take care of it. And so the whole Candace Owens assassination plot, I mean, the information that she has, whether it's true or false, indicates that they were, at the time, on the ground in the United States waiting to make a move on her.
On Candace Owens.
Mm-hmm. After the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Because she has been so outspoken and will challenge everything that other people are afraid to challenge because of political dissent, social dissent, people just not agreeing with or.
So what's the pattern of the Candace Owens situation? The pattern is it's the same as everything else. You have problem, reaction, solution. The problem is someone found out that Brigitte Macron has a very small penis and is a pedophile and may have fathered his own child that he's now having a sexual relationship with, who is now a grown man and is the president of France. So the problem is that people know.
No.
The reaction is outrage, and the solution is silence.
Silence who?
Anybody who's dissenting.
Right.
They have every journalist in France at the beginning of, I'd say like around 2015, 2016, when Macron was running originally. This all started to come out very quickly. And journalists that were just trying to do their own work were very quickly realized that there was something wrong with the story. And when they went digging, they were very quickly, basically what happened with every other person that, you know, says what they shouldn't say, and they're defamed. And so journalists were defamed, they were imprisoned, they were charged. And the moral of that story is shut the fuck up.
I think that's why there's so many more independent journalists now, risking their lives, essentially doing independent journalism, because you look at mainstream outlets and journalism is not true journalism anymore. It's bias based off of who's paying them, right?
And they're actors acting.
Right.
Yes,
And then but the scary thing about it is then you have, okay, let's take Barry Weiss, for example. I'm not sure how many of you know who that is, but she's like a Jewish woman in the States who's a writer. She worked, I think, for the New York Times. And then during COVID, she quit the New York Times and opened her own business called the Free Press.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the Free Press.
Yep.
And so now she's an independent writer with this company behind her, and she's got a Substack. And I mean, she was doing well, but the problem is that she's pro-Israel. And like, I'm not pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. Both of them can fuck off. They can both go back to where they fucking came from and deal with their own fucking problems over there and leave my country out of it. So I'm not on either one of their sides. I don't give a fuck about either of them. But what I will say is that she 100% defends Israel in everything that she does. And the funny thing was, she just got paid, I don't know how much money, it was like $100 million to sell the Free Press, which I listened to an entire podcast on the evaluation of that business, and there's no way in hell that company is worth $100 million. So she sells the Free Press. Why? Then the next week they announce, she's heading to CBS as the new editor-in-chief. Okay?
Wow.
So now you have this girl that left the mainstream, did her own thing, and now she's bought and paid for, in my opinion, by Israel to now run CBS. So now CBS is just going to promote the right-wing pro-Israel movement, and any journalist on CBS that was leaning towards the other direction will be silenced.
I think this just goes to show the higher vibrations that we're shifting into is ones that are leading with integrity, true discernment, and courage. Because a lot of there's so much fear for those who do speak out, and even for us, speaking our truth during the past several years, people aren't you scared? Aren't you worried? Like, if we always led from our fear, we'll never be our true selves. And that doesn't feel in alignment with us at all.
Yeah, that's true.
I think even just like whistleblowers that speak out, they have to be fearless because they're leading with integrity and they're listening to their own moral compass rather than just doing what they think or doing what they're told to do. And I think it takes radical courage to listen to your heart. And so I think in a society that is trying to be controlled mentally and emotionally, spiritually, the most radical thing that we can do is to truly listen to our own hearts and have discernment when something doesn't sound or feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And to still be able to speak our own truth, even if it isn't a favorable opinion or the more popular opinion.
And I think just for people listening that whether you're conspiratorial or not, is maybe if you think that you're not conspiratorial and you think that I'm a fucking lunatic, maybe just pay attention to the patterns and just see if any of what I'm saying makes sense in the future when the next crisis happens. If it's just this, like, for example, with Charlie Kirk, it was, I think we kind of touched on it at the beginning, but within hours, this is what happened, this is why, this is who, and this is how. And there's just no way that this kind of an investigation into such a traumatic, crazy event can be solved in 33 hours. There's just no way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's absolutely no way that you can throw out a bunch of random text messages that were written by AI or some French person that then you tried to put it into ChatGPT and translate it. It didn't come out right. It was so obvious. But just recognizing those patterns, I think that's what's so key for people, is to start looking at the pattern of how quickly the narrative is formed.
I think it's the same as the Canadian wildfires. It's the same as the Maui wildfires, aka what was it? It's not explosion. It was like the
beam.
The laser.
Lasers.
I mean, who knows? It could be like lasers. I mean, who knows? But I know that in the 1800s, that there was a guy in San Francisco that could make it rain. Like in the 1800s, there was a guy you hired. He would come to whatever area needed rain. He would build this 100-foot massive scaffolding to get himself up high enough in the air. And then he could, someone smarter than me can find the information, but it's a specific chemical reaction and it creates rain clouds.
Yeah.
And he can make it rain. So don't fucking tell me that in 2025...
we don't have the tech.
We don't have the tech when we know that Saudi Arabia had major flooding this year and a lot of environmental impacts from cloud seeding. That is how they've turned Dubai into a country where people can comfortably live. That's why all of a sudden Dubai is what's the word?
A city that is in the desert.
Attractive. It's why it's attractive to go to Dubai now, because there's water. It's not
like a
nothing.
desert. Yeah.
It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen because it magically started to rain or beaches came back. It happened because they created the ability to be able to cloud seed and have water.
It's an artificially created city that had flooding, and I'm not going to go there actually. But I think the psyop, even in our society, with the cloud seeding that we're seeing, like, we watch the sky all the time. We see when they see, like, you don't have to be a scientist to look up and go, that doesn't look right. No. Why is that happening? Oh, it's raining again because that's happening.
Yesterday, I saw all those lines in the sky. Today it's raining. And I just get so annoyed with that particular line because people say, that's from a pilot. A pilot literally told this to me not long ago. But that's just a contrail. And I was like, you've got to be some kind of retard, because you're up in the plane and you see it. You know that you do leave a contrail, and within minutes, it's gone. Okay? Yeah. When you seed the clouds, those fucking things are there for hours. Yeah. And then within hours of them seeding, generally it becomes overcast. Like, airplanes don't do that.
They spread out, we get overcast, and then eventually there's rain.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, again, is like how the psyops are to create confusion within the collective's energy so that we will start to question each other and to push down any alternative voices saying you're a quack or you're crazy or whatever the term is of the generation, because we've changed them over the years. But it's to limit the voice, right? Yeah. To not question.
Limit the dissenting voices.
Correct. So what our society has also done in media, in movies, is to create that fight amongst us.
Yeah.
That's like the normal behavioral response, is if that doesn't go, if there's some cognitive dissonance happening, then I'm going to label you as something. We saw it with COVID. That was the best example of anybody who questioned the jabs, vaccines, whatever you want to actually call them. Anybody who is
gene therapy,
whoever wanted to question that was automatically labeled as
Conspiracy
something
theorist.
anti, as in the negative,
Yeah.
right? So this has been around for a really long time. It just changes with what Psyop is happening.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think
Yeah.
that the next one is?
Aliens.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think so.
Yeah.
Project Blue.
I think so.
Beam?
And then, like, for people hearing this, just be aware, right? You're going to get, it's going to happen. It'll happen fast. And the narrative will be pushed on you so fast that that's how you know it's fake, right? It'll just, this is what it is. And they'll tell you right away what's happening.
This is what you should do. This
Yep.
is how you should feel. This is what you should think about it.
But yeah, I think probably aliens will be, or aliens or the second coming of Christ. But I mean, I don't know if that's like, I know that's gonna happen. I don't know if that's gonna happen.
That might
in the
happen
next
closer to
5 or
2030.
10 years. But
That might happen closer to 2030.
I mean, if it does, that's crazy. But I mean, or the Antichrist might be before the second coming of Christ. You don't pay enough attention. This Antichrist is all the rage right now. Like with AI, like they believe that AI could be the Antichrist. Which, I mean,
That's interesting.
kind of possible if you think about it.
I don't know.
I think that that is part of that is going to be the ongoing conversation as AI takes over a lot more in different industries, because people's jobs will definitely be impacted by AI more and more. And the other aspect of that is that it's going to impact people's, I think, cognition. Like people's brains will actually start to change because people won't be thinking for themselves as much. I think it will dramatically, just like technology, like our eyesight is changing because of phones. So I think our ability to cognitively think for ourselves will start to shift as well, because people literally use it for everything, to think for themselves, to create for them in lots of different ways that people don't problem solve or sit in contemplation as much. So I think there's going to be like that is going to be that's its own psyop, if you will, between human creation and AI creation.
I know as long as AI is as long as AI is kept within like the open source,
Which it won't.
who knows? I know
It won't. It's
I know
already
it's tried
not.
to.
It's already moving out of
You
it.
said Israel, right?
What about Israel?
I think they've tried to own
Oh,
one of the AI,
and
like
that's
open
it. Like,
source AI. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
And we're
know.
all gonna be paying for that. That's the other thing that people, that's so frustrating is, you mark my words here, in the next decade, the bills that we're gonna be paying for hydro are going to be so crazy.
oh, because of AI.
And it's because of AI. So here's what's going to happen. Us three are going to pay so much money for electricity. And that's for the AI companies to be able to have the data centers that they need to manage that. And the data centers and the creators will be making billions of dollars quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
They won't pay for the hydro that they're using to power the AI. We will be. And they'll be raking in the money.
There'll be a strong dependency on AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it won't be us that's really, I mean, of course we'll benefit in certain ways, but
Yeah.
but it's just like everything else where, like if you just think about the highways example, okay? Realistically, does a car impact a highway? No.
No.
Do 18-wheelers impact the highways? Yes.
More than cars. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the amount of money that trucking companies pay for their tags in relation to what vehicles pay is not fair.
That's a good point, actually.
Like, I'm not the one that's ripping up the road. You are, right? And it's no different when you talk about, say, a new community development. The taxpayers pay to widen the roads that developer will benefit from. But the developer is the one that's going to make all the money, and the developer is the one that should be taxed with paying for the road to be widened to 4 lanes to make room for his development. Whereas the people in the community's taxes go up and they pay for it. And he walks away and he's made hand over fist on the development.
Isn't that the same creates a problem, blah, 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 blah. It's not the same. Is that the
Problem,
same
reaction,
pattern?
solution. It's the same. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the taxpayers who are paying. We are paying for AI. We are paying for the wars. We pay for everything, and we see no benefit to it. And this is what,
So let's stop paying.
hey, if you want to do a podcast on that, I'm like, that's why they had to shut the Freedom Convoy down so fast. Because I'm telling you right now, because if people actually mobilized like that again for these reasons, hey, we're not paying for this, we're not doing it,
Yeah.
it's game over.
Wasn't there there's big protests happening in Spain?
The farm protests? Or
Yeah. Like Spain, Portugal, I think.
there's even
Italy,
supposed to be one in Canada,
Yeah.
the farm protests, but
Out west?
no, in Ottawa.
Hmm.
They were supposed to be mobilizing from the west to come to Ottawa, but
But it's so hard to find like any footage of that
absolutely,
online because
absolutely.
obviously take.
They take it all down. They're censoring it.
Yeah.
A lot of censorship, even just like you can't say words or spell words without it being flagged. But that's part of the control method, because people are going to be sharing so much that they need alternative ways to try to control people.
But people find ways, like we were talking about it earlier. People find ways to communicate in code, which is hilarious. But when you think about it, I guess it's been happening all throughout time.
Probably.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we've always been trying to escape from the mechanisms of control that they put on us.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it's coming to a point now where it's becoming way more difficult. And if the digital IDs get introduced, I think we're fucked. I don't know how you really get around stuff when you have a digital ID. There really won't be enough. It'll be very challenging.
Yeah.
It really will be.
Yeah.
It really will be.
I don't think people have thought about just how much that's going to impact in all areas of your life. And I like that's something we still have to really consider and think about. But I think just to go back to like the whole PSYOP piece is that all PSYOPs are to serve a purpose from those who are controlling them, which is distraction. Distract you from your life, your purpose, your self-regulation, your peace of mind, your own peace in your life. It's to create disruption, chaos, distract you, create emotional reactions, and then pull you into something that's emotionally explosive. So the whole idea of like when all these PSYOPs happen, like we've been watching several, and like the bigger emotional response they get, the more traumatizing it is, the more that they'll pull you in. And so learning to decipher and use your discernment to recognize this is like to create chaos. How much energy do you want to give to letting it take over your life force energy? Because it's your life force energy, right?
Yeah.
Are you giving your energy to that and reading more about it?
Yes.
Getting But I think there's a difference, because there are people that are the truth seekers and that can like journalists, like that's what you're into, like that's what you're passionate about, because you're a natural challenger in society, and you don't get swept into the emotion. I can't watch some of this stuff. I can't take in that information because I can feel so deeply about it all. But you are so removed, and you can take the information and go, that's not true, that's fake, but wow, look at what they're doing here. So you can see the patterns, and you can take in the information and recognize it without getting emotionally involved and overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I can. To a degree, I can. Yeah.
That's like journalism.
Yeah.
Modern day journalism.
Yeah.
In the society that we're living.
Yeah. Yep. It's just crazy in this day and age, because it's just literally PSYOP after PSYOP after PSYOP and false flag after false flag. And it's challenging to be someone like me that's so awake and aware, and then to have to live in society with people that are so retarded that just believe it. And like every new thing that happens, it's like, did you hear? Did you hear? Can you believe it? It's like, yes, I can. I told you this was going to happen. Like it is challenging to be on the other side of it for sure.
I remember getting caught up in that probably before I met you. And I just because it was things you hear that are being parroted. And you just hear them on repeat, and then you start saying them, and you're just regurgitating what you're hearing.
It's safe and effective. It's safe and effective. It's safe and effective.
Yeah. Hate Trump. Hate Trump.
Yeah.
Like, but then when you talk to people and ask, like, well, why actually don't you like him?
Speaking of Trump, what do you think about that right now? What do you think of this situation? Do you think do you think that, like...
What's the situation? I don't actually
know. I mean, MAGA's kind of falling apart. The whole, like, Republican conservative... movement. I mean, I don't want to say only in the States because I don't think Americans really usually understand how connected we are, right and left and centered. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of Americans think that Canadians and Americans are very different and we're from two different places, which obviously we are. But I think we're all very similar. Like I find myself, if you sat down with an Canadian, you're really no different. Like we really are the same people. Like we have very few differences. But the whole movement is just completely deteriorated. And it's like, that's another psyop in itself right there. The whole Trump thing was a psyop to begin with. And then now the movement to hate Trump is another psyop. Like it's just one thing after another. How do you go from I'm running on this, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then you get into office and it's like, are you guys still talking about the Epstein files? Like once he said that, a lot of MAGA was like, I'm out.
Oh yeah.
Right? And I mean, I was saying before the election that there's no right and there's no left.
No.
They're all bloodlines. They're all controlled by the same 13 families.
Controlled division.
Is ancient, thousands of years worth of work that these people have created, whether they're vampires, whether they're reptilians, whether they're draconians, whether they're just people, I don't know. But there's definitely an elite bloodline of families, 13 of them, in fact, that every single president has been related to in some way, shape, or form. They're all related to each other. Most politicians, governors, etc., are also part of that. Yeah. And that's the psyop in itself that makes people, wonder, can you change the system? It's like, it's very challenging to tell people, to have people want to be not crazy in all of this and say, okay, I'm going to do what I'm not going to go along with it. I'm going to do my own thing. But then knowing that like you really have, democracy isn't real. It's an illusion of the choices that they're giving you. You can have this orange or this apple. We're giving you a choice. They're both fruit. It's going to have the same outcome.
Yeah.
Fruit.
But you can pick which one you want. You can vote for which one you want, but really you're both getting fruit at the end of the day.
From
both
the same
sides.
supplier who grew it or cultivated it, genetically modified it, whatever.
Right? I mean,
it's the same people who own the majority of companies, right? That own, what's the two...
Kellogg's or
General Mills,
and
Tyson or Maple Leaf. There's two meat companies.
It's all the same owners with just different brands, so you feel like you have choice.
But you don't. It's the same garbage. The only choice you really have is to grow your own. That's really the choice you have.
Yeah,
I think the more that we know, the more that we've dissected and like recognize like how much is controlled, how much is programming, how much is fake. And I think the more that we recognize and learn that, the more that we keep going to what is authentic, what is real, and just focusing on creating that for ourselves.
But I think it's interesting what you said about the grocery store, because I think that's true. Like, you go into the grocery store and you think, wow, look at all my choices. Wow, look at all my choices of all this stuff. Yeah. And then you're right. It's literally like a handful of companies that own everything in there. They're all made in the same factory. With the same shitty fucking ingredients, but then they're sold to you in different colored boxes with different labels, and you think you have a choice, but you have no choice.
No.
The choice you have is to spend your day scrolling on Instagram and going to the grocery store, or growing your own food and cooking your own food, because you can't do both. You can't spend all day being a slave to your phone and expecting to get results that you can live off of.
But that's part of the distraction, is to flood options. to overwhelm you with options.
What else is like that though? Think about it. Like, let's say I want to buy a pair of running shoes. I mean, you have
Brands.
like
Nike,
Right.
Adidas.
you have a few choices, and then all of the other ones that like on Amazon, for example.
or like the barefoot shoes.
Barefoot.
Like the
Those are
Grounding
all
shoes.
yeah, but like most of the shoes are all made by the same manufacturers.
Or if you go to the mall. If you go to outlet stores.
But I'm just
it's
saying, if
like
you
the
went on
top, yeah.
Amazon and you were like, I'm going to buy a pair of running shoes on Amazon, which nobody does, but if you did,
I
they
did.
would be a knockoff
Yeah.
made in China in a factory that makes Nike shoes.
Yep.
Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
understand
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
like
They're all like
we're giving you the
manufactured
illusion,
the same place.
but
right.
you don't really have any choice. And the same with a car.
Same. Yeah. I was
If you
gonna
buy a
say that.
Toyota, guess what? GM owns them,
right.
right? I mean, every manufacturer is basically in cahoots with another one, or at least they're parts manufacturers.
Mhm.
So like really you're pretending like you have an illusion of choice, but the government regulates which car company is allowed to sell cars in which country, right? I mean, because there's all kind if you go to Indonesia, there's a lot of weird cars in Indonesia.
Or in
And I'd
Europe.
love to have one here,
Yeah.
but try to bring one here. It's like when a guy invents some kind of a new vehicle, like the Spider, some gay, Can-Am Spider gay thing. You can't just invent it and put it on the road. Some of these guys have really great ideas, but they'll never make it past. They don't make it to the point where you can actually legally put it on a road here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway,
Man.
I guess like there will be more psyops. There's going to be more distractions. There's going to be things that are going to traumatize the public
every day there's a psyop.
every day, and it's up to you to be able to discern truth from falsehood, to be able to redirect your energy to empower yourself or become disempowered.
Or to just question it. That's okay too. When the narrative comes out, it's okay to just say, like in the olden days, can I see both sides of the story? Can I get all of the information and make an informed decision on my own?
Instead of reacting, taking a pause and sitting with self-reflection first.
Yeah. So instead of, either thinking that you're crazy or calling somebody crazy because they're doing their own research, maybe that's something you should take a pause from and just think, do I really have all of the information? Have they given me actually all of the information that I need to make an educated decision on this?
Never. Never.
Never.
To end it, I know on Spotify there is the Spotify wrap. So Jen, do you want to just say some of the cool stats about the podcast from this year? Because I think this episode will be the last one of this year. So yeah,
Sure. So the top country that listens to us is Canada, obviously. We've had this is cool because I'm a numbers girl. 123. That's 123 increase in our total audience.
23%.
Increase in our audience.
No, she's a numbers girl, hey?
I mean, in the patterns. No.
Oh, I see what you mean. Nice.
Okay.
and 999% increase in total new audience.
New people. Nice.
New people coming in. And 52% increase in new followers.
Amazing.
So amazing. Thank you guys. The top episode. Oh, this is interesting. Our top episode was the first climate lockdown in Canada.
Cool. That was my idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
My show was in the top 10% of videos on Spotify.
Amazing.
Ooh,
Nice.
top 10%. Is that true?
It has to be.
That's cool.
Top countries: Canada, the United States, then Australia, United Kingdom, and then Germany. Cool.
Nice.
And we were talking about being international like a year ago, and look at that.
Germany, eh? The Germans.
Look at that.
Dorstenbergers.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess all the bullying that I did to get you guys to share, subscribe has been working. So that's cool. I think the episode with Ajax helped. I think that gave us a lot of exposure on that episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked that wasn't the top episode.
Interesting. Yeah.
I thought that would have been. But
I think we have such a split audience between spiritual listeners, people that are into a lot of like healing and self-development. Then we have like the awakened souls, like the other black sheep out there of their families. And then we have like all the conspiracy loving people that are into all the topics that are kind of taboo or go against mainstream narrative, that are really open-minded people. So it's quite the array of audience, and we appreciate all of you for listening. And sometimes we get shout outs from you or people messaging, and just thank you so much. We love the love.
We love it. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, well, this has been a great year, and we'll be back next year. Peace out.